things have started to change quite a bit by now. Yeah, quite a bit. Let's get into those changes. So around month 3, I was noticing some pretty prominent changes. One of the, most obvious changes was the amount that I could eat. By this point, I am on solid foods, so you should be on solid foods by now. And I was able to eat like a bird. Yeah, I could only eat very, very small amounts by this point, but I could eat nonetheless. So that did feel good to be able to eat. However, back to the other side of that, the amount which I could eat was very startling. It would honestly take maybe 2 bites, 3 on a very hungry day, and I would be stuffed. I mean, stuffed. Normally it's 2 though, to be honest. 2 bites around this time. Yeah, you better make the best of those 2 bites. But yeah, you can actually eat solid foods. But what you may notice also, because I noticed it, was the fact that my taste buds had changed so drastically by now. And when I say by now, I mean what I could eat post-op, or what I was able to tolerate and liked post-op, was totally different from what I liked and could tolerate pre-op. One thing that I really struggled with was crab cakes post-op. Pre-op, oh my lord, I could go in on some crab cakes. I loved crab cakes. I couldn't get enough of crab cakes. I love seafood, but I really love, a jumbo lump crab cake from, I don't know, from almost any seafood restaurant, or ones that I would make homemade. I love to make my own homemade jumbo lump. And I'm specifically saying jumbo lump because you have crab cakes that are made with like, I guess, regular, the meat from the crab, of the body, but it's like not jumbo lump. It's like the meat from the legs or the very small blue crabs. I love jumbo lump crab cakes, but I'll eat the other ones as well. I'll eat the blue crab cakes. I would eat deviled crabs. I love them. But post-op, no ma'am. We did not get along post-op. They made me gag, and they would make me so nauseous, and I was so disappointed because they were one of my favorite foods. So what is recommended in a situation like that is you try to eat whatever it was you liked pre-op. You try it post-op once. If it doesn't work, try it again, but not right away. Give it like 4 to 6 weeks before you try it again, and then see if you can handle it. Unfortunately, that didn't work for me. I tried the crab cakes twice, and both times same feeling, like a month or so apart. And yeah, same thing each time. I felt nauseous and queasy. 2 totally different crab cakes, totally different places. And yeah, so be prepared for the fact that your taste buds will more than likely change, and certain things that you used to love pre-op, you won't even be able to tolerate post-op. So that was one of my biggest changes that I noticed. Another thing that I noticed was a change. I finally started to notice around this time a change in my clothing size. Well, a huge change in my clothing sizes. I believe around the last time I was in a 22 wide, and when I say the last time, I mean at my highest weight pre-op, and the 22 wide was in shirts and bottoms. I think I was down to like, or up to like 3X, depending upon what they were. Some of them were like 24s, maybe even 26s. So I had never worn as big of shirts as I was wearing pre-op at any point in my life, because the majority of my weight has always been, and still pretty much is, in my lower body. So I've never worn a size 22, you know, wide in shirts. But at this point I was 300 plus pounds, and so yeah, I was rocking, you know, a size, sorry, thought someone was coming in my door, a size 22 wide in shirts. So what I noticed around this point was I had started to lose quite a bit of clothing sizes. I started to go through them fairly rapidly at this point, and I really noticed like around Halloween, because this was like my first time, I wouldn't say trick-or-treating or anything, I would say dressing up per se to celebrate the occasion. I didn't get a costume, but I wanted to, you know, dress in celebration of the occasion just cause. And so I got a shirt and a pair of leggings, and I was very shocked at the size difference. So my shirt, excuse me, was normally a 22 wide in women's. However, I was able to find the cutest cat, like it was a cat print, and I'll see if I can find and insert a picture over here of my Halloween attire. Okay, so at this point I was able to wear a medium 8'10" in women's shirts. So I went from a 22 wide in women's, 22 wide in women's, all the way down to a medium 8'10" in shirts. As far as my bottoms, those were, like I said, I was up at this point well over 3X, and some of those were 22s, 24s, but for the most part it was like 3X. And so I went from a 3X all the way down to a 15, 17 in juniors, and these are like the leggings. So yes, that's still, you know, spandex, but I couldn't get into the 15, 17 with spandex before. So being all the way down to the 15, 17 in juniors versus a 3X in women, huge difference. So you'll notice a very large difference in your clothing at this point. You should be able to notice a very large difference in your clothing. Those are like some of the biggest ones. Now, on to some of the bad stuff you notice. Well, I mentioned the change in taste buds, but something that a lot of people experience around the 3rd month, I experienced around the 3rd month. Hair loss. Yeah, y'all. Around the 3rd month, it hit me hard. I mean, super hard. I have very thick, very, very thick, coarse hair, and I have natural hair. So I hadn't had like a perm or any of that gunk in my hair in years, well over 13, 14 years. So I would usually wear like braids or a wig or something like that, and that's normally because I have severe atopic dermatitis. Y'all, I got some of the worst skin y'all ever wanted to. Yeah, just be lucky you don't got skin like me. I have severe eczema, I have keloids, I have very, very bad skin. Anyway, so a lot of times I would wear like the wigs to cover up my eczema because it's so bad. It flakes and peels and it bleeds, and yeah, it's a mess, and it's really concentrated around the nape of my head, but it's embedded in my scalp, so it's very, very bad, extremely bad. So I noticed, you know, when I was combing out my hair for a washing and a deep conditioning and to apply my medication to my scalp, that tons and tons and tons of hair was falling out in clumps. And I'm like, oh Lord, like, what's going on? I guess it finally hit, and sure enough, it was the hair loss. And so be prepared for that. It scared me briefly, but in all honesty, I knew that it was a possible side effect. So I, you know, admittedly at first I was shocked, but I got over it. I mean, like, it's just hair. It'll grow back or it won't. And if it won't, they got wigs and weaves and all that other stuff. So I didn't stress it that bad. I'm not gonna say it didn't bother me, because it did briefly, but then I thought about the greater good. And so my health was much more important to me than the hair loss. So I got over it. Also, I found a workaround. I've always wanted locks. I've always wanted to grow locks. So I took that as an opportunity to put locks in my hair, or to start growing locks. And so what I did was I started the process to grow locks, and I noticed that once I started the locks in my hair, the hair loss slowed down drastically. I mean, I guess that's to be expected because now my hair is locking. And so again, you can't see them because they don't look like I want them to look yet, so I keep them covered up a lot. Additionally, my eczema is, you know, really, really bad, so I probably won't be able to wear them as often as I would like, or show them as often as I would like, because my eczema is so severe and flaky and bloody and all that gross stuff. So a lot of times I keep my scalp covered up, but when it's good, I plan to show them. So be prepared for hair loss around this time. And not everybody gets it. Not everybody gets it at this point, but from the majority of people that I heard from or know of who've had VSG or communicate with who've had VSG, it happened to them around the 3rd month. But like I said, mine, that first or like second time I combed out my hair was a lot, but I remedied it real quick. So I know my remedy is not a remedy for everyone, so just be prepared, you know, because it'll probably happen around this time. So yeah, those are the biggest changes that I've noticed, or I noticed, I should say, around the 3-month post-op mark. If you have VSG and noticed any differences around your 3-month mark, please drop them below so that the newbies will be aware of what to expect. So if you haven't done so already, please don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notifications so you can keep up with me, and I will see you in the next video. All right, bye.